welcome to day 22 of our 31 days to splits challenge. Today we are adding the revolved triangle pose. So let's get right to it. Stepping feet a little bit wider than hip width distance. Roll the shoulders back, take the hands behind you. Interlacing the fingers, let's pull the shoulders down. Start to open up the front body and then hinging at our hips. Extending our arms to the sky, lifting the shoulders up away from the neck. I'm just going to go ahead and move my head around. Feel the feet connecting to the mat as my tailbone lifts. The shoulders continue to draw away. Feeling how you've shown up on your mat on day 22. Good, releasing the arms. Soften my knees, roll up the spine. Coming all the way to stand and then down to our table shape. Here in table, just adding a little movement, circling the ribs. Just allowing yourself just to check in here a bit. Reaching that right leg back, we'll draw it in, step the foot between the hands, grabbing the blocks, framing your front foot. We'll shimmy that left knee back a little, keeping my right knee over top of my ankle. Right hip is back, the outer edge of the right hip drops down. I'm rolling my shoulders back, pressing that left hip forward, lengthening through the crown of the head. Again, just noticing here on day 22 how you've arrived, how you have come to your mat today. Feeling your hips. I personally am definitely feeling my hips. And hamstrings and hip flexors, just appreciating the impact and the effects of the practice on my body. It's really nice to establish this consistent practice, to come back to it every day, like rolling out your mats. It's like coming home to yourself. Reframing your thought around this practice and thinking of it as if each time you roll out, you're finding a little bit more of yourself. Good, let's melt the hips back, flex the right foot. I'm gonna slide my hip forward, pull the right hip back. Hips are square, shoulders are back, my heart is pulling forward. The belly is pulling in as my heart continues to lengthen forward. Softening my shoulders. Good, melting the hips forward, back toes curl under. We'll lift the knee, slide the foot in. Shifting the hips once again, wrists under my shoulders, crown of my head is reaching forward, the belly is pulled in, rooting down through the inner edge on my right foot, while shifting the left hip forward, hips are level, legs are engaged, crown of the head is reaching to the space in front of me, and then I'll round here. Lifting my shoulders, continuing to root down through that inner edge on my right foot. Continuing to lift the shoulders, to press my left hip forward, pull the right one back. Take a nice slow inhale. And as I exhale, I'm going to melt forward a bit more. And then lengthening. Add a little softness to my front knees. Bring the left foot forward. And then softly roll up the spine. Reaching my arms out and up. I'll bring my hands to the heart and then reach it up. Swan dive, nice wide open chest. Let the heart reach forward. And then I'll come back and return to my table shape, left leg back. Draw that in, stepping my foot forward. And again, we'll just melt those hips forward. The right hip is pressing forward, left hip is back. Navel is drawn in. I'm lengthening here up that left hip flexor. Sorry, right hip flexor. Feel the crown of my head lengthening to the sky, rooting down through the inner edge on my foot. Feeling the outside of the right hip lift up, and then the outside of the left hip drop. The blocks have come back a little bit here as the space between my legs has increased. The deeper I can go into this lunge, the more that right hip flexor releases. My foot will continue to shift back. And then just so I'm not forward here, I'm just pulling the shoulders back so I can stay up nice and tall, or pulling the blocks back. And then sink the hips back. Left heel slides forward. The right hip presses forward. Shoulders pull back. And again, my heart reaches forward. The back of my neck is long. I am still leveling up the hips, so lifting the right, the outer edge of the right, dropping the outer edge of the left, yet still maintaining the inner edge, so pressing down to the inner edge of the heel as well, so that I don't start to externally rotate. I want to keep the hips square. So getting equal stretch on all parts of the muscles in the backs of the legs. And then bend into that front knee, back toes curl under. Slide the foot in, straighten my left leg. Shift the right forward, again, rooting down through that inner edge on my left foot. My right hip keeps pulling forward, the left shifting back. Shoulders back, crown of the head forward, pulling the belly in, root down through the inner edge, as I said, of your left foot. Lifting up out of your shoulders. And then I'll soften here, forehead to the knee, shoulders lift, still rooting down through that inner edge, sending my right hip forward. Good, press into the blocks. To lengthen, little bend, ball of the right foot. We're going to step forward, and then again, soften the knees, rolling up. Let the arms reach out. Palms come to touch, hands down to your heart. Good. So I'm going to start for my revolved triangle. I'm going to first come into a regular triangle, stepping back with the right foot, straighten the front leg. Feel the, again, lift up out of the hips like we talked about yesterday. My arms will reach out to warrior two arms. I'm gonna reach out, back of my hand at the inner calf, right arm to the sky, shoulders are back. I'm staying nice and tall, long in the torso. The tailbone is tucked. My spine is nice and long. Everything is really strong here. The side body is opening up to the space behind me. And then as I come into my revolved shape, I'm going to take the right hand, bring it down to meet the left. I'll start to shift my hips. So just like we were in our pyramid pose, the right hip will press forward. Both hands now come to the outside of the left shin. Now, if this feels unstable or you want to pull your back foot in a little bit further, please step it in a little further. Take my left hand to my hip and then twisting at the rib cage so the spine is nice and long. I'm going to twist at the ribs, opening here, the back of my hand, just resting on the outside of my calf. And you can tuck the left hand behind you. Pull your shoulders back, reaching the crown of your head forward, sending the left hip back, right hip forward. Or perhaps you're feeling stable here. You can extend that left arm up to the sky. Shoulders are back. My right hip shifts forward. Left hip is back. Breathing. Good, feeling that revolution at the ribs. So twisting at the ribs, creating that opening at the rib cage. Shoulders pull back. And then to come out, we'll take the left hand back to the right, hands to the inside, and I'm just going to peel open again into my triangle. Reach through the right hand, drop it back, elongate. Good. And then hands at my hips. I'm going to turn my left toes in, right toes to face the back of the mat, just for the purposes here of the video. Tailbone is tucked, belly is in, arms reach out again. Triangle, reaching out over that foot. Back of my hand at the inner calf, left arm to the sky. Again, here I'm nice and high on the inside of my leg because I want to really keep that opening of the body. Shoulders pull back, keeping everything within a single plane. The belly pulls in, my heart is reaching forward. Everything is working hard to keep me in this shape. Now maintaining the integrity of the core, keeping it nice and long. I'll just take my left hand, bring it down to meet the right. Now my core is still lengthening forward. I'm going to shift the right hip back, take my hands to the outside of the shin. Right hand comes to my hip, shoulders pull back, twisting again at the rib cage. That hand can tuck behind you. Again, you can shorten your stance, you can widen it, but we want to press the floor away, create length in the torso, twist at the ribs, and maybe the right arm lifts up to the sky. Belly pulls in, shoulders are back. The left hip continues to press forward. We're breathing. Nice and strong here. Again, the rib cage, that's where we get that movement. Good, then right hand back to meet the left, hands at the inside. We're gonna peel it open and then rise up and reverse. Back to center, hands at the hips. We'll just turn the feet to face forward, soften the knees, come into a wide leg forward fold. And then hands to the left foot, downward facing dog. Good, nice. And open here across the upper back, across the front of the chest. And then I'll return to my knees and we'll flip around for our final stretch. Reclined, extended leg, left leg long, right leg reaching to the sky. Relax your shoulders, Lengthen through your heel. And of course, breathe. You're welcome to hang out in your triangles for a longer period of time. Really, again, focused on the movement of the ribs and noticing as you start to move the ribs, how do the hips respond? How does that change the sensation? And that's where this becomes why these poses are included in this challenge, is because they really force us to focus on that kind of movement, the revolution of the hips as we follow the movement of the rib cage. So everything works together, as we all know. When one part of the body moves, another one needs to shift and adjust and change. And that's a really cool thing to begin to notice and focus on. Left leg in, same stretch, other leg. Extend your left leg to the sky. We'll straighten out the right. And we were just talking about this in at the end of my earlier class today, how your alignment and the way that you're holding your body in a pose, it's so important, because we could do many of these poses without really putting forth the effort, or without really thinking about the movement of the hips and the movement of the ribs and the position of the shoulders. But once we do start to pay attention to those things, it's like something in the body clicks, or something in the mind clicks, and it just feels, the poses start to feel the way they're meant to feel. And if you don't know what that is, then you don't know, and you'll never know it. But as soon as you do, as soon as you feel it, that's when it becomes super cool. At least for me. So bend your knee. We'll hug both in. And when you are ready, rising up to your seated position. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for listening to me today. I hope that your day 22 is wonderful, and I look forward to seeing you on day 23. Enjoy your day, everyone. Bye.